Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alex.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John, and we're starting a new anime block with Dragon Ball Z, but not any Dragon Ball Z. We are doing the Ocean dub, the very first, well, not the first, the Dragon Ball Z dub that started on Toonami, the one probably most people got their start with. So we're starting with episode 1 and 2. So the Arrival of Raditz made its debut September 13th, 96. That is made up of two episodes, The New Threat and Reunions. This is followed by episode 2, The World's Strongest Team, aired September 20th, 1996, made up of Unlikely Alliance and the first 4 minutes of Piccolo's plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you kind of don't know what this is, long story short, Funimation teamed up with Ocean and for dubbing and Saban for distribution to bring Dragon Ball Z to America. This was after they tried Dragon Ball and it didn't quite work. They dubbed 26 episodes, which aired in first-run syndication, e.g. no network picked it up, so it was distributed to lots of them alongside Saban's other shows, Samurai Pizza Cat, Eagle Riders, and Saban's Adventures of Oliver Twist, which is certainly a show that exists. It did really popular to the point it got really popular. They did a second 26-episode batch, which aired on its own hour-long block. And this went till 98 when Saban pulled out because they didn't want to do syndication anymore. But yeah, this is the first Dragon Ball Major Dragon Ball Z dub. It combines all the episodes together and edits them heavily, which is why I wanted to do them, because I am vaguely fascinated by this weird era of dubbing where anything that isn't moving can be cut.
Yep.
And
But
there's a lot that's cut,
I mean, we're turning 4 episodes into 2.
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
There's
I'm all, but now, that you mentioned what the programming block is, I'm curious to see how, Piccolo would have juxtaposed with like the Artful Dodger. No.
Piccolo and Fagin together at last.
I do want to say something about hearing Rock the Dragon and watching all those shorts from World's Strongest. Like that took me right back to being 8 years old again and coming home from school to watch Dragon Ball Z. Like there's something about Rock the Dragon just taps into that part of my brain.
I love the music. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the music is something that does really well. Rock the Dragon is a great intro theme. I think it really worked. I think one of the easiest ways to tell the difference between the Japanese Dragon Ball Z and Saban's Dragon Ball Z is those intro themes. Because how Head Chalar kind of is adventure, wonderful, weird things. And then, Saban, like, no, this is an action show first and foremost. That is exactly what, yeah. This is all action non-stop. There is no whimsy here.
There's no whimsy. There's only whimsy in the fact that, man, the whimsy in that opening shot is just that it ends. But I just had to bring up Rock the Dragon because I know that for a lot of people our age, like that is what they remember most.
To the point where I think the original version of Budokai 1 is set, the North American release still retains Rock the Dragon, just in that very kind of like clunky PS2, like early PS2 title animation style.
But the interesting thing I also want to point out is that for most American audiences, Dragon Ball Z was their introduction to Dragon Ball. They don't understand why these people know each other. They don't understand why everybody's freaked out that Goku has a kid. Like I think that there's something very funny about the fact that most people in North America, I would make the argument, saw Dragon Ball Z before they saw Dragon Ball. So they don't have context for any of this.
I mean, the only way you'd have seen Dragon Balls if you were in one of the local networks that ran that first little package in syndication, and those were all very small. Like that very first Dragon Ball dub where Goku was renamed like something the Wonder Child, that I think was like 4 networks there. That was lost media until like 3 years ago, I recall correctly. Like I had to pay god awful money to get a copy of that off TV recording because it's so rare, and so most people went in, and that's the big change you'll see in this first episode in Arrival of Raditz is it cuts pretty much all of Gohan's stuff from the New Threat is gone. The New Threat starts off very chill, very light, showing Gohan being a normal kid and him interacting with Goku. We don't get that in Arrival of Raditz. We go straight to Raditz arriving. It's a much more intense and sinister opening. And again, it is that tone that Saban has. Like, Saban, this is an action show. We're going to show you the villain first. Which is I totally understand why they did that. It's a shame because I really like in Japan how a New Threat starts as this I think it plays off the end of Dragon Ball well. It's like it's a horrible, bittersweet moment that we have this lovely piece, and it's going to be ruined by this arsehole.
One, it's a beautiful parallel to the first episode of Dragon Ball 2, right? I actually watched the Funimation Crunchyroll dub in addition to these heavily Frankensteined versions, just to compare the two. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff. The parallel of Goku going through the forest on Mount Tao, or Mount Pao. I can't remember.
Paozu.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's clear he's an adult now, and it's also very clear that Gohan is not his father, which he mentions when he gets to the Kame house in the next episode, um, or so. But yeah, it's a yeah, it kind of takes all that nuance because we don't have that. Saban wouldn't have that, Ocean wouldn't have that. It's just like, hey, here's Raditz.
Here's Raditz. I
I,
just one quick sidebar, and then but I haven't seen Skinny Goku in a while. It's nice to see Skinny Goku again. And in a world of your Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, Skinny Go. It's nice. It's kind of fun to see Skinny Goku.
I I like this build of Goku. He's still very human looking here, which I quite like. And sort of another thing to point out with you saying about how this starts, I think people have got to remember in Japan there was only a couple of weeks break between the end of Dragon Ball, end of the Wedding Dress on Fire, and Dragon Ball Z. There is a reason they structure it how they do. There was no, this isn't like coming back 10 years. This isn't like Super where we have to reintroduce all the characters. All these people were known properties. Kids have been watching them a couple of weeks before. So there was no need to do this grand reintroduction really here. Hence why the reunion is so quick. Because yeah, Japanese kids already know these guys.
Yeah, yeah. I one of the things that always strikes me in any version of this, because the scene's intact in the Saban edit, is the idea that a simple energy blast from Piccolo, you can see it travel out of his arm. Like there's still a novelty there. You still have to put in some effort to just generate a quick energy blast, and at this point in the timeline.
Speaking of Piccolo, friend of the show has returned, Scott McNeil, doing essentially his Wolverine voice from that will be his Wolverine voice in X-Men Evolution, which is actually very fun. It's fun to hear him. We've been hanging out with Scott McNeil a lot, and I like his Piccolo a lot, especially this younger, more still evil Piccolo. I really like it.
Yeah, even if it is a fight, it's still like it's so funny in the World's Strongest Team here in Piccolo being like, I will fight you until he is dead, then we will fight and I will rule the world. I will still take over the planet, Goku. And I open up Dragon Ball Super. Piccolo is having cake with Bulma. So that plan's been on hold a while, Piccolo. Might wanna.
Yeah, Piccolo kind of got over the whole taking over the world thing after he became part of the asexual polycule that is Goku and Chi-Chi and raised their children.
I'm always kind of sad Toriyama kind of forgot that plot point. I know Piccolo was never going back evil, but I'm always surprised in Super we never had him and Beerus have a thing of like Joe in the one Star Trek episode where Quark gives the guy root beer and he's like, I'm surprised we never did that with Piccolo and Beerus as like you say you hate Earth now, but I warn you, you will learn to love these people, and unfortunately that's how it's just going to go.
Yeah.
I've made the comparison that Fast and the Furious is basically Dragon Ball Z in terms of its character dynamics, in that all of your enemies will become your friends and allies, and you'll have like, dinner or barbecues with them in the backyard by the following movie.
I mean, I am going to throw this out here, not to spoil a 40-year-old anime, but like Piccolo is the only one of Goku's villains that does get to kill Goku. Like, I'm just throwing that out there. He's the only one that actually manages to do it. So I can understand why he would take a step back and be like, I kind of got what I wanted.
Not as fun as you think when you actually get around to doing it.
You actually get around to perforating your enemies. Like, I did it, but the joy is gone.
Not as amusing as you think.
Yeah.
This first episode, I love this first episode though, as we get what I would consider, as someone who loves these kind of era of dubs, the classic dubbing, 90s dubbing things. Like the farmer gets shot and they've added in a line of him saying, "Oh, that's smart," which is
Yes.
amazing. Roshi has a glass of beer, which we painted over to be blue, so he has a frothy mug of water. And if you are young, you may not know, for many years, alongside Brock's jelly donuts, frothy mugs of water was kind of the umbrella term for these kind of cultural dubbing practices. And yeah, Bulma brings Roshi some truffles that are clearly steamed dumplings. It's all the classic you are watching in anime dubbed by Americans is here.
It's so funny. It's actually really interesting. It's such a time capsule because we did the Deke dub of Sailor Moon too, and that there's still that energy there, you know?
Mm. Yeah.
It's so wonderful. Weirdly, so a fun thing about these early group of episodes we'll see is that they got censored twice. They got censored after initial broadcast as well. You'll note Chi-Chi says, I'm going to worry myself to death. And Roshi says, this isn't good. I smell death in the air. After they were first broadcast, Saban kind of got cold feet on mentioning death at all. And so in all later re-airings, those lines were changed.
In the words of Brian Drummond Vegeta, I'll send you to the next dimension. And we're going to get him soon.
Yeah, it's this weird middle ground where originally they were okay with it, provided it wasn't I'm going to kill you or I'm going to bring death to you. But then they got cold feet and they hadn't yet kind of worked out what to do with that. So we get this weird section in these episodes, the re-airs, it's just cut and they shift all the dialogue around. Or they have Chi-Chi say that all this worrying will give me wrinkles. But yeah, it's a weird point where even Saban weren't quite sure how they were going to handle some of this stuff yet.
Also, they did age up Gohan for this. Gohan is 5 here, as opposed to being 3, which also makes Goku older.
And in the Funimation dub, he's 4.5.
Yeah, because they don't want to throw a 3-year-old at this.
He's a very powerful 3-year-old. It's fine.
It's also weird because I do, when you grow up with Dragon Ball Z and you have like the shifts, and we've been back, for those of you who weren't there for the before times, when we were back to Raditz at least 3 or 4 times as Dragon Ball Z went on, it's weird how these voices melded in my brain. Like the voices from the Ocean dub guys and the Funimation guys kind of started sounding the same in my memories, which is really weird to acknowledge, but yeah.
They inform each other, I think. I mean, the exception is I don't think Sean Schemmel's trying to channel Peter Kelamis, but maybe that was still like the template on some level. But I do think Sabat is kind of with the scratchy, even though he's more a deeper, more senatorian voice than Scott McNeil does. I think the idea of that kind of harsher Piccolo tone, and I think Mike McFarland is echoing for his Roshi, definitely kind of has that quality too. Justin Cook kind of does a similar thing with his Raditz.
Yeah, but then he becomes British later on. Once you realize that like Sabat was making Vegeta British, then all the Saiyans kind of became a little bit British as time went on.
Yeah, except Nappa.
Except Nappa. Nappa never got to be British, but if you like in Dragon Ball Z Kai, when Justin Cook redubs it, he does give Raditz a little bit of an affectation, sort of like Vegeta.
Look, we'll colonize anything. You put anything down for a minute, we will colonize it.
Saiyans, the space British.
One thing I really like is that, because also this was all dubbed in Canada because it was non-union at the time. You can clearly tell that it's Roshi and Raditz. Their voice actors go slightly Saskatchewan at certain points. You don't notice it until certain lines when it goes really prairie. It's like, oh, right, this was dubbed in Canada. And talking your thing about colonizing, I love in these early episodes how we go really hard on the Saiyans being pirates. Like, Goku keeps going, I won't be pirates. I won't join the pirates. It's like, oh, they're still not entirely sure what the Saiyans are, so they're just pirates.
One Piece hasn't come out yet. That's my explanation.
Yeah, we can't have Conquer raises too many questions. Erratic committers of perpetual genocides on planetary scales doesn't roll off the tongue either.
This also does bring to mind something I think about with Dragon Ball Z a lot, because Dragon Ball Z is where I started. It's where a lot of people started, like I mentioned. Raditz not again, spoilers for a 40-year-old anime. Raditz doesn't matter at all to the plot, but he comes in scary. Like he comes in actually very threatening and and he gives Goku a better thrashing than a lot of later villains do. Like it's actually kind of interesting how the scale of escalation and how that changes over time.
I will always go Raditz is one of I think the best introductions to anything ever. Because I will if Drums, I want you to step back a minute, right? And think of this plot twist. We have just said the lead character you've been following is secretly an alien. Everything you know about them is untrue. Their aliens are in play, and the aliens are here to kill you. In any other show, that would be suicide. That's like the worst comic twist in the world. That would get you laughed out of a writer's room. But Toriyama in those opening moments gives Raditz so much aura, and basically he doesn't like look at the audience or wink at the audience. He goes full in on making Raditz the coolest dude in the world, and you buy it. Like this twist should not have worked. It only worked because he makes Raditz into this killer immediately.
And he's huge. Raditz is gigantic. He stands head and shoulders over Goku, which is another thing that makes him so. His hair is big, his outfit. He's just gigantic in the entire scene, and I kind of love that. I wish we'd gotten more Raditz.
Oh, I still do, yeah. I can only wonder what it would have been like if I had, because like Alyx, I started with Z. So Goku was always an alien as far as I knew. Like there was no 156 episodes of like, oh, he's just weird. He
He's got
just,
a tail.
sometimes he has a tail and it turns into a giant King Kong sized gorilla thing.
Oh,
No, I never had that background. So like Goku was always an alien. I do think that, to John's point, Raditz has one of the best introductions. He lays out Goku with one hit. He effortlessly takes him away. If you're watching Dragon Ball, suddenly Goku and Piccolo have to work together. And, you know, even in the Funimation slash original release, in like what, 5 episodes, Goku's off the board.
yeah.
That's wild. That's a wild way to start the series.
It's crazy. I do just to talk about the turning into a giant monkey thing. Bulma and Roshi continuing to not tell Goku, like, hey, you killed your grandfather, that still bothers me on a very deep level. That Goku will spend so much, like, his entire life up until Vegeta shows up, not knowing what happening to his grandfather and having to reckon with the fact that he did that. Like,
This
that's crazy.
the one in this episode is the worst because this is information that they could give to prevent Gohan doing the same thing. Like I get it when they originally met Goku, he's like, okay, we can't do anything about it now. But here it's like, okay, we probably don't want Gohan living with the same thing Goku had. We should probably tell Goku, who's now or tell Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is grown up and logical. She can probably sit Goku down. But no. Also, you've got to imagine, because if you go back and rewatch Dragon Ball, the tail stuff becomes so like irrelevant very, very quickly. Like, but you can count on a handful of times the amount of times Goku goes Great Ape. Toriyama was kind of lucky that he had that kind of unused plot point in the chamber that could be used. Like, so why was he a monkey? We never explained why he was a monkey. Oh, because he's an alien. Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, planned it all along.
I mean, I still think the most fortunate thing that ever happened was Major Metallatron's readout saying alien back at Muscle
Alien.
Tower. And it's like, oh, I guess he was retroactively right the entire time.
Obviously. I
Yeah,
also
Bulma and Roshi aren't checking these things.
I also want to just take one other pull back and then we can dive more in. I love, obviously Superman informed this plot line for Goku. Like, obviously, this is a Superman informed plot line. I love that we are coming full circle at this point in the zeitgeist, and now Dragon Ball Z is informing Superman plot lines because the whole Superman, like the Kryptonians sent him to take over the Earth thing, that's just Dragon Ball. It's now the snake is eating its own tail, and I appreciate going back to the beginning of that because, like, no, Goku is now Superman, but now Superman is Goku.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
The
Yeah.
second episode, which is to say episodes three, part of two, three, and
Four.
4 minutes of 4.
um, like that's another interesting thing too, because there's this whole history between Goku and Piccolo that first watching this, we never knew. We just knew apparently they hated each other, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so here they are, and they're just like, "Hey, that guy kicked your ass too. He just totally housed an energy blast from me that didn't do anything. I guess we should do this." Also, and this is, I think, more in the Blue Ocean, the Ocean dub, not Blue Ocean, but yeah, Ocean dub than the Funimation dub. They always have Raditz be like, "Look at the birdie. Keep your eye on." Like that's his like
As
big
opposed to
calling
double
card.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Double Sunday sounds like a dish. Like it sounds like something you'd order at a diner. I'll take a double Sunday, please.
Keep your eye on the birdie.
Yeah.
That is dark.
I do love these attack names. If you ever played the old card game, they would just have them verbatim for everything, meaning some people's attack names are just small sentences which just make you sound like an idiot when playing. Like, I'm going to use, oh, look at the birdie, or like, come forward, a super bench. Every turn will take 10 minutes.
I think they fixed it up in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, where it's just like double Sunday and like something like destructive Saturday or something. They're all weekday themes for
Yeah,
Raditz.
they made them all day themes, and I want to say it was the again the Budokai series, because Budokai has a weird way of kind of informing so much of how us Americans digest Dragon Ball. I want to say, yeah, it's all because and I think that's like the first time Justin Cook voices Raditz,
Yeah.
because that came out before the Dragon Ball Z uncut Funimation dub. So yeah, it's Double Sunday, and it's like, yeah, it's like Crusher Monday or something. Like that's
Yeah, it's like Crusher Ball Monday or something.
yeah.
It always annoyed me that he didn't have a Gloomy Tuesday as a move. Because
Yeah.
Solomon Raditz, born on a Monday.
But yeah, I think Budokai did lead to the changing of the names to more thing. I think mostly because video games have limited characters, so you can't do Saban's thing of making every attack a sentence, because it just go all the way off the box. Though I have to bring up, this did introduce the worst thing. These two episodes introduced the worst thing in Dragon Ball history: power levels.
Yeah, power levels. This is when they first begin to exist.
Bugs me because in Japan, we get him pro Gohan in, and he starts complaining this is a piece of junk that doesn't work. It's right on. Yeah, it's right on Gohan, but even in Japan, he's complaining. This is a stupid piece of kit, because we find out later, Frieza gave them all. They're all wearing it because Frieza. Yeah. The Scouter was never meant to be like a universal thing. It was just these guys have them. And then, even in universe, they're not reliable. They don't work. They are a metaphor for Frieza being like this ego who can't see past himself.
Well, also, like, more practically, it's how they locate where certain people are, right?
Yeah.
Raditz, who can't sense energy levels or power levels on his own, is like, oh, there's a big one over there. Cool. Let's go.
Let's go fight Piccolo. And Piccolo's like, hey, this is a Wendy's. I love how freaked out Piccolo is when he sees Raditz for the first time, being like, hey man, you sure you're in the right place?
I always love that shot of him like literally falling to his knees after Raditz leaves. Just like, holy shit, what the hell was that?
I gotta find Goku. I gotta get Goku. I gotta find Goku right now.
It's one of the neatest things of these episodes, I think, is how the reason Z can work as a standalone intro is because of little bits like that. Like, Piccolo is the first person we see use an energy blast, which you go, oh, wow, that's amazing. Raditz tanks it without flinching. So obviously then when Piccolo goes to Goku, even if you don't know their history, you can imply, well, something is definitely off with Piccolo because he can do these energy blasts. And also, Raditz must be strong if the guy we've seen do energy attacks is asking this guy for help.
Raditz also does give the helpfulness of saying, like, hey, you're definitely not from here. Like, he's also setting up Piccolo being an alien, because there are two characters we don't know are aliens at this point, and it's Piccolo and Goku.
I mean, to be fair, they also don't get Piccolo's full background right until Daima. Yeah. They're like, oh, by the way, all Namekians are from the demon realm. Oh.
All Namekians are demons. They're aliens, but also demons. It's kind of a Thor situation, yeah. Where like we're aliens, but we're also the Norse gods.
In our defense, everywhere we've been has been wiped out, so it does get a bit confusing to keep track.
Yeah, We discussed this last week. Being on Namek is the worst.
Do you think we get a Daima reference in Dragon Ball Super Beerus?
Oh yeah, they're
Oh,
gonna they're
yeah.
gonna they're gonna try tie it in.
They
Yeah,
have
like,
to.
oh, I can't go Super Saiyan 4. I can only go Super Saiyan 4 in Demon Realm or something.
If only because they're gonna have to do something to make us pay for the same story for the fourth time. Actually, no,
Exactly.
fifth time. Wait, no, sixth time.
Battle of the Gods, Super.
Super, the manga version, the
Manga
movie
version.
comic.
The movie comic. Obviously, if you got the DLC for Xenoverse and also for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beerus
Like,
has been doing well for himself.
Beerus is in the background being like, I got that influencer money, baby.
Uh, Before we sort of approach the end, some just random edits that I think you'll find amusing for these two episodes. Obviously, during all the flashbacks, we're going to hit a recurring problem that young Goku likes to run around nude. This is the bane of the American censors. So in his pod, Goku has little underwear on, that like white little underwear, which is great because it's horribly bright, like full like right corner of the Photoshop gradient. So it's just like, his pants are glowing. He gets his floating splash to cover his genitals while he's in the bath, which I quite like. We also get probably one of the oddest cuts in the second episode. When Raditz holds up Gohan for the first time, in the broadcast version, they airbrushed out his tears.
Well, he can't be scared. That's going to scare the children. And that's his
Except,
uncle.
except when we go back in, like when they cut away and go back, he's crying again. They did it for exactly 15 seconds of footage, and again, it's one of the great Saban edits. Is we haven't changed the facial expression, we've just removed the tears. So Gohan is kind of like gurning weirdly, like he almost like Raditz is strapping. It looks like Raditz has him by the neck, right, rather than his coat, because of how Gohan seems to be gasping. It's very, very, very weird.
It's better than
Um,
being visibly emotionally distraught.
Yeah,
Apparently.
obviously.
Choking is better than crying. You heard it here first. Um, you'll also note this the end of the second episode leaves some blood in. We see some blood on Goku. That is not going to last for long. We're going to be removing blood very, very. Again, these first couple of episodes, Saban were not quite sure what they could get through the door yet.
The one thing in revisiting early Z that I quickly remembered I didn't miss about early Z, we're gonna get a lot more Gohan crying.
There's going to be a
Ooh,
lot of
yes.
crying Gohan. This is Gohan at his most annoying because he's a toddler.
Yeah, yes, yes. I know.
And what do toddlers do? They cry and go into pods.
They cry, they go into pods, and then they get a taste for blood after they get kidnapped.
And
I will
they don't make an actual baby sized pod because attacker. I have checked. I have a little cousin. I kind of want to get them a pod.
Oh, you got to get them a little
They
pod.
don't make one. I wanted one to not to lock them in. Obviously, why I beat up their while I beat up their dad. I like their dad, but I just in general they'd be cute. We also get the line change that will cause infinite problems going forward. Planet Vegeta was destroyed 3 years ago, according to Raditz, meaning Vegeta has grown a lot in 3 years.
Yeah.
That if you are familiar, if you were around at the time, that edit caused all sorts of continuity problems going forward in Z. Saban's way of dealing with that later on was just to ignore I ever said it, and to be like, we said 20, yeah. Uh,
Dragon Ball Super Broly is gonna undercut that really badly in 30 years in the future.
The
I
Super manga does it too.
I don't think if you weren't there at the time to understand how committed people were to that reading, like when I was writing stuff, I still got people email me who would be like, no, Vegeta was 3 years ago. I was like, no, that's just Saban. Like that was never in Japan. Think about it for 10 seconds. That makes no sense that Goku's only been on Earth for 3 years. Like that would be very silly. Like, but no, I guess because yeah, back in the day, it's all we had to go on. You're not googling up the Daisenshu's or being able to watch all three versions of the episode.
Google wasn't even a thing yet.
No, we had to ask the elders who would read
Yep.
the tea leaves.
You must
And
ask the elders, Jeeves. We are closing in on the end of the episode, so we do need to get some final thoughts because I know the three of us could talk about Dragon Ball until the heat death of the universe. So
Sure. It's good to be back in Dragon World. And again, watching two different versions of the show, it's just like, oh, I have to watch like twice as many Funimation episodes. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's good to be back though.
It's good to be back.
I like these intros. I think these two are very well done. Obviously these days, if you want to watch Dragon Ball Z for the first time, you've never seen it, you go watch the new dub. It's all authentic and lovely and nice. But I'll always be slightly impressed by the Arrival of Raditz, how they cut the episode to ribbons, but came out with something that works surprisingly well. It's unusual for Saban to nail it, and here they did kind of nail it. This is a really nice introduction to Raditz if you don't have Dragon Ball as your base. They did a really good way of setting up the story. I love this early era of Z where we're not yet, I've gone time to go further beyond. Here's my beam that solves all problems beam that I can fire out whenever I feel like it. It's nice we're still like, there's a sense of danger, there's a sense of violence. And yeah, Raditz is cool. Can we have, look, if we're doing Super Dragon Ball Heroes and all the spin-offs, can we have, Raditz's Bizarre Adventure, please? Just
Ooh.
Can we give Raditz just like a spin-off where even if it's just him like space trucking around the universe, he is such a cool character. We need more Raditz. Workplace sitcom, Raditz and Vegeta. I'm here for it.
First of all, stop reading my fan fiction diary. Second of all, no, like I always want more Raditz, but no, revisiting this, especially revisiting this dub, genuinely took me back to my childhood. Like this feels so good to watch, and it feels so fun. And yeah, the episode is cut to ribbons, but it is, like John said, it is effective. It lets you know what's happening. The thing I want to point out is, as a kid coming into Dragon Ball Z with no Dragon Ball, I never felt lost. Like, and I think that for a lot of people coming in essentially in the middle of something, because the manga for Dragon Ball doesn't really have a Z cutoff, it's just all Dragon Ball. Coming in the middle of something should be confusing. You should not know what's going on. But this actually does a really good job of getting you invested, getting you into the story, and not feeling lost. And I think that is really impressive considering some of the other dubs Saban has done. But that does mean we have reached the end of our show. Right, that's right. It is time for us to disembark from Toonami Absolution. We want to thank you once again in joining us and talking about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Scott McNeil, please call us. Once again, we have been your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Keep your eye on the birdie. Thanks.